Sri Aurobindo's been telling us that our problem is that we stand isolated. Our worldview, we are cut off from our beginning and from our goal. And because of that, we can't see things properly. And then he told us that there are immortal beings above who know and see, and they can see what is coming, the events that are going to come and change the earth destiny. And even more than that, they are guiding the earth towards its destiny. So I'll start reading on line 294. Come, yes. Above the world creators stand. In the phenomenon, see its mystic source. These heed not the deceiving outward play. They turn not to the moment's busy tramp, but listen with the still patience of the unborn for the slow footsteps of far destiny approaching through huge distances of time, unmarked by the eye that sees effect and cause, unheard mid the clamor of the human plain. Attentive to an unseen truth, they seize a sound as of invisible augur wings, voices of an unplumbed significance, mutterings that brood in the core of matter's sleep. In the heart's profound audition, they can catch the murmurs lost by life's uncaring ear. A prophet's speech in thought's omniscient trance. Above the illusion of the hopes that pass, behind the appearance and the overt act, behind this clockwork chance and vague surmise, amid the wrestle of force, the trampling feet, across the cries of anguish and of joy, across the triumph, fighting and despair, they watch the bliss for which earth's heart has cried on the long road which cannot see its end, winding undetective through the skeptic days, and to meet it guide the unheedful moving world. Thus will the masked transcendent mount his throne. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind is the only lamp, as a thief's in the night shall be the covert tread of one who steps unseen into his house. A voice ill heard shall speak, the soul obey. A power into mind's inner chamber steal, a charm and sweetness open life's closed doors, and beauty conquer the resisting world. The truth light capture nature by surprise, a stealth of God compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine. In matter shall be lit the Spirit's glow. In body and body kindled the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy pilgrim march. Our will, a force of the Eternal's power, and thought, the rays of a spiritual sun. A few shall see what none yet understands. God shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep. For man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done. I think we'll start this side, Bhavan.
Above the world creators stand, and the phenomenon seek its mystic source. These heed not the deceiving outward plane. They turn not to the moment's busy tramp, but listen with the still patience of the unborn for the slow footsteps of far destiny, approaching through huge distances of time, unmarked by the eye that sees effect and cause, unheard mid the clamor of the human plane.
Thank you. So Sri Aurobindo has been talking about the immortals on their heights, how they can see what is happening in the universe. And here he continues with that. The world creators, the powers who are given the responsibility to create the world and oversee its evolution. They stand on a higher level and they are looking down on everything that happens. They see the mystic source of each phenomenon, of each object, each thing that happens. And they are not very interested in everything that interests us. They don't pay any attention to the deceiving outward play. They are not interested in the moment's busy tramp, the things that happen to us moment by moment through the days and years. They are listening with the still patience of the unborn, the beings who are not born and will not die and are not troubled by the passage of time. Those beings are patient and calm And they are listening. They are listening for the slow footsteps of far destiny approaching through huge distances of time. They're waiting to hear the first signs of the new developments coming on Earth and in the material universe. And that may take huge distances of time. Those footsteps are not noticed by the eye that sees effect and cause, the eye of our mind. And they aren't heard amid all the noises of the human plane, all the noise pollution that's in our earthly atmosphere. So we don't notice that the slow footsteps of far destiny approaching, but they notice, they are aware of them.
What is the meaning of still patience? I have to read that sentence and to get the meaning.
Well, you know what patience means?
Patience means
Yes. So still means unmoving. They're just waiting. They're not rushing and pushing and trying to bring out the future. They're just waiting patiently.
The stillness.
Stillness means without moving, without saying or doing anything. Martin, you'll read?
Attentive to an unseen truth, they seize a sound as of invisible auger wings, voices of an unplumbed significance, mutterings that brood in the core of matter's sleep.
So they are listening with this subtle hearing for those signs of far destiny. So what they are attending to is a truth that can't be seen yet. And their subtle hearing seizes a sound. It's like the wings of birds. The ancient Greeks and Romans used to interpret the movement of birds as omens, according to what kind of bird it was and whether it flew past you from the left to the right or from the right to the left or from behind forward. There were different interpretations for that. So interpreting the movement and even the bodies of birds is called augury. It's a kind of fortune telling, looking into prophesying, looking into the future by the signs of nature. So he says they are hearing this sound like auspicious birds passing or approaching. And they also hear voices that are expressing some meaning that's so deep it can't be easily understood. Unplumbed, it means it's so deep it can't be measured. And they hear also mutterings, muffled voices, maybe even complaints and grumblings that are going on in the core, in the very heart of this sleep, this trance of matter. And those mutterings and those voices and those wings, they're all telling something about the future. Ilso, you'll read?
In the heart, profound audition, they can catch the murmurs lost by lives and hearing ear. A perfect speech in thoughts in mists and trance, about the illusion of the hopes that pass. behind the appearance and the overt act. Behind these clockwork chants and vague sermons, amid the bristle of horse, the trampling feet, across the cries of anguish and of joy, across the triumph, fighting and despair, they watch the bliss for which earth's heart has cried, on the lonely road which cannot see its end, winding and dejected through the skeptic ways, and to meet it guide the unpeaceful moving
world. Yes, thanks. We've paused there. So they are listening from the heart. And Sri Aurobindo says the listening of the heart is very deep. They are listening deeply to deep sounds. So they can catch the sound of these murmurs, these mutterings, these faint sounds that the uncaring ear of earth life doesn't hear. We lose those subtle sounds. And those subtle sounds all together make up a prophet speech, a speech that's in touch with the higher divine consciousness and which tells something about the future. They can hear those things because in them thought is in a state of all-knowing trance. Not this active thought that we have, but a very still, silent, concentrated thought that can know everything. So what they see is all the illusions of our, what Sri Aurobindo calls them, our illusory human hopes. They are so important to us. Our hopes keep us going and moving forward, but very often they are wishful thinking only. So be above the illusion of the hopes that pass, behind the appearance of things here and the actions that are done openly and obviously, behind this play of chance that we experience here. Sri Aurobindo calls it clockwork chance. It's mechanical. The little wheels are whirring round and round like a machine. And accompanying that clockwork chance is our attempts to understand, our vague surmise. A surmise is a kind of guess. Maybe it could be like that. We don't see clearly, we don't understand clearly. We see this play of clockwork chance and we make vague surmises, theories about it. Behind all that, also in the midst of this wrestle of force, all the conflicting forces that are at work in our universe, and all the trampling feet going this way and that way and destroying things. Across the cries of anguish, of intense pain and suffering, and the cries of joy. Across the triumph, the fighting and despair, the different contrasting experiences of life. Through all that, they are watching. They are listening and they are watching. They are watching the bliss, the pure Ananda, for which earth's heart has cried. All our hopes and wishes and desires, somehow they are longings for that pure bliss, no? they see that bliss winding, undetected. It's not coming in a straight line. It's zigging and zagging and going around and around on this long, long road, which is winding so much it can't see where it's going. No? That bliss is undetected, but it's there, winding through all these days, these skeptic days, these days of doubt and unbelief. And they are guiding our world to meet that bliss. They are influencing here and there and there and there to make sure that this unheedful, moving world, this moving world that we live in, which is not paying attention to all these subtle signs, those world creators are making sure that we will meet the bliss for which all the hearts in this world are constantly crying. Supu.
Thus will the mass transcend mount his throne. When darkness deepens, strangely the earth breathes, and man's corporal mind is the only lamp. As a thief in the night shall be the covered tread of one who steps unseen into his house.
Yes, thank you. So because they are guiding our world to meet that bliss, one day the masked transcendent, the Supreme Being who is beyond all limitation, eternal and infinite, who wears a mask here, who is disguised, so we don't even know that he's here pervading all this all the time. No? He will mount his throne. He will take command of this whole world. This is Sri Aurobindo's prophecy. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind, our physical brain, is the only light in the darkness. Just like a thief in the night, creeping in shall be the covert tread. Secretly he'll creep into his own house, unseen, like a thief, secretly. All this is his house. He will come in and take possession of it all.
Shraddhavan?
Yes.
So, in ancient Moses said, the physical mind is the first transformation from the supramental.
That has to be transformed first, yes. Here he's going to describe several steps of the transformation. Yeah. But what he's speaking about here in this line is a state, as the state which we experience, no? That the physical brain, the practical mind of human beings is almost the only light lamp in the world of ignorance. When it gets really dark, when there are no other lights, when that's the only light, then that's when the transcendent will creep in unseen like a thief and take possession of his house.
And also I read Sri Aurobindo's Bhavan, and when Sri Aurobindo passed away, Mother Sri Aurobindo gave her son, seen inside him also his physical mind going. Is Shraddhavan tells this is the mind, luminous mind.
The mind of light, yes.
Mind of light.
Yes. So what are the stages? First of all, Uma.
A voice in her shall speak, the soul obey. A power into mind's inner chamber steal. A charm and sweetness open life's closed doors. And beauty conquer the resisting world.
Let's, oh yes, sorry, go on to the end of the sentence. Sorry.
The truth light capture nature by surprise. A stealth of God compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine.
Yes. So first the voice, something will speak, and the soul will hear that voice and obey it. And because the soul has heard and obeyed, a new power will steal into not our outward physical mind, but into the innermost mind, mind's inner chamber. And as a result of that, we shall become aware of a charm and a sweetness. And the life being cannot resist that charm and sweetness. It can't resist the beauty, the power of beauty. Life's closed doors, all the resistances of life will open up, and beauty will conquer the resisting world. All the world's resistance will be overcome. The truth light, the supramental consciousness, the truth awareness will capture nature by surprise. And this secret action of the divine, stealthily creeping in unnoticed, will compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine.
Truth light is supramental light?
Truth light is here, yes. Karim.
In matter shall be lit the Spirit's glow. In body can gloat the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy lunar march. Our will, a force of the eternal's power, and thought, the rays of spiritual sun. The few shall see what none yet understands. God shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep. For man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done.
Yes. So when earth grows unexpectedly divine, matter even will be transformed. In matter shall be lit that light, that glow and energy of the Spirit. And that will be contagious. From one body to the next body to the next body will be lit. There will be kindled this sacred birth, the birth of a completely new consciousness and life possibility. This night of unconsciousness and ignorance shall wake up to the anthem of the stars. An anthem is a sacred song. And what Sri Aurobindo is saying is that all the stars that light up our night, whether they are the physical stars in the universe or the psychological stars that wake up in the darkness of our consciousness, they all represent truths. And they're all singing their wonderful message of truth, as an anthem. And our darkness will wake up. We'll be able to hear that wonderful song of illumination. So then our days will become a happy pilgrim march, not this toilsome trudge of effort and struggle that it mostly is now. Instead, it'll be a happy pilgrim march. Pilgrims, when they are on pilgrimage, they have to face many difficulties, actually. But they're happy to do it because they know that they're on their way to some very, very special destination, and they sing as they go. So our life should become like that, a happy pilgrim march. Our will should become a force of the eternal's power. The divine will be able to act through human beings as instruments. And thought will become rays, like wonderful sunbeams of the spiritual sun, of the higher spiritual consciousness. So that is Sri Aurobindo's wonderful prophecy. And he says, a few people will see, but nobody yet understands what that transformation is going to be. God, the divine, is going to grow up. And there's this image of the divine as a child, a very small golden child that is being born and growing in the world of matter. So God is going to grow up and become mature. And it will all happen while the wise men, the wise human beings, talk and sleep. Because man, he says, will not know the coming, won't realize that the transcendent has mounted his throne and taken possession of his house. And he won't believe that until the work is done, until the transformation is complete. So Mother liked these last 4 lines very, very much, and I think she's mentioned them many times in the agenda, with some humor. And yes, they won't know until the work is done. So having given us that wonderful prophecy, again, Sri Aurobindo in the next section returns to a description of the current earth consciousness. Joel, you would read?
Consciousness that knows not his own truth, a vagrant hunter of misleading dawns, between the beams dark and luminous ends, moves here in a high flight that seems to hold an interregnum in reality, cuts off the integral thought, the total power. It circles or stands in a vague interspace, doubtful of its beginning and its close, or runs upon a road that has no end. Far from the original dusk, the final flame, in some huge void in conscience it lays, like a thought persisting in a wide emptiness.
Thank you. This is the consciousness of the material universe. It's conscious, but it doesn't know its own essence, its own truth. It is searching always searching, a vagrant hunter. A hunter is searching for his prey, and a vagrant is somebody who's wandering here and there, who has no fixed goal. This consciousness is hunting after or following the misleading gleams of dawns, apparent dawns. Oh, that is a new light. It goes that way. But that's not the real dawn. It's only a misleading dawn. So then it will hunt another dawn. Here that consciousness is between the dark and luminous ends of existence, of being. We live in a world of duality, and there's one end that seems dark and unconscious, and at the other end, perhaps there's a supernal light. But that consciousness is moving here in a half-light of ignorance. That seems to be the whole thing. It's very difficult for us really to imagine or believe in anything else than this present state of consciousness. Sri Aurobindo says there's an interregnum in reality. An interregnum is when there's a gap between one ruler and the next. It happens, for example, we read about it in Tibetan history, when one Dalai Lama would leave, and then it would take some time before the next Dalai Lama was found and could assume his full responsibilities. So in between that, there'd be an interregnum. Or if the king dies when his heir is very young, there'll be a time when there's no acting king. There's a regent in between. So he says there's something like that, a gap in rulers in the omnipresent reality. There's a gap which cuts off that consciousness, separates it from the complete thought, the total power. So this earth consciousness is circling round and round, or maybe even standing still in some kind of vague in-between space. And it doesn't know about its beginning or its close. It's running here and there on a road, this road that cannot see its end. It seems very, very far from whatever was the origin, that darkness that we perceive at the beginning of things, and very, very far from the final flaming apocalypse that may be the end. This consciousness lives in some huge, empty state of inconscience. Just like a thought, like a single thought persisting in a wide emptiness, lost, unconnected to anything else, isolated. Dhanalakshmi.
As if an unintelligible phrase suggested a million renderings to the mind, it lends a purport to your random brain. A conjecture leaning upon doubtful proofs, a message misunderstood, a thought confused. Missing its aim is all that it can speak, or a fragment of the universal word.
Yes, we'll pause there. An unintelligible phrase. A phrase is not a complete sentence. It's a few words, it's just a part, no? And a phrase standing by itself, if we don't know its context, it may be unintelligible. We can't understand it. But it might suggest many, many different meanings. So it's as if an unintelligible phrase suggested a million renderings to the mind. It might mean this or that or the other, a million different things. And in that way, it seems to lend a meaning, a purport, a significance to this random world that we seem to live in. A conjecture, a guess, a theory, a hypothesis, which is supported by very doubtful evidence, doubtful proofs. A message that's been misunderstood, or a thought that's confused and doesn't express itself clearly, a thought missing its aim, is all that it can speak, all that this consciousness can speak. Or maybe only a fragment of the universal word. The universal word is the Om, which expresses the whole reality. But if there's only a fragment expressed, it's only a fragment, it's not the whole thing. Devan.
It leaves two giant letters void of sense, while without sanction turns the middle sign, carrying an enigmatic universe, as if a present without future or past, repeating the same revolutions world, turned on its axis in its own innate.
So if this consciousness, all it can speak is a fragment of the universal word, it leaves two giant letters void of sense, without any meaning. There are 3 syllables to the universal word. No? So this is just one fragment standing by itself. It's not connected with the other 2. They seem to be meaningless. So it is meaningless. And this middle sign is turning round and round without any sanction, without any base or authority. But it's carrying an enigmatic universe, a very puzzling and mysterious universe, the universe that we live in. So it's parallel to the fragment of the universal word. We have past, present, and future. These are also like 3 letters or 3 parts. So if there were only a present without any past and without any future, it would just go on round and round and round, repeating the same revolutions whirl. There would be no development. There'd be no basis. It's just turning on its axis as our earth does, in its own inane. Sri Aurobindo has given it a capital letter. Inane usually is an adjective meaning meaningless, stupid, worthless. If we look at the root of the word, it means without a soul, something that's soulless. Somebody who's inane is always talking nonsense. And here, when he uses it like this as a noun with a capital letter, I suppose we can say it means the meaninglessness of this universe.
Shraddhavan, You know, in some CD of Entretien 1957-58, Mother said the new creation, the new world starting without present, future, and the past. Totally new world is a new world without these three aspects. It's very, very interesting.
Yes. That's the world that King Aswapati sees in Book 3, Canto 3. The house of the spirit and the new creation. And there he gets a vision of that new creation. And perhaps that's the closest description that Sri Aurobindo has given us anywhere of the new creation, of the new world.
Very, very.
So we can read one more sentence, please, Gangalakshmi.
Thus is the meaning of creation veil, for without context reads the cosmic page. Its sign star at us like an unknown script, as if a peer screen for a foreign tongue, or code of splendor, signs without key, a portion of a parable sublime.
Yes. So because there's just this fragment, no? The meaning of creation, the significance of the existence of this universe and our own existence is veiled, it is hidden from us. Because what we are seeing, the universe that we are seeing, the world we are perceiving around us, we are seeing it without context. People very often write to me questions with a little phrase out of Savitri saying, can you explain this? What does this mean? And then I have to go and see the context, because it's only when we can see the phrase or the word or whatever in its context that we can begin to understand its significance. No? So if we're just seeing all this without its context, then we can't, it's very difficult for us to see its true meaning. And what Sri Aurobindo is doing for us in this canto especially, with the secret knowledge, he's giving us the context. Bit by bit in each of the 7 sections, he's giving us a different aspect of the context so that we can begin to understand the meaning of creation. So that the cosmic page, the universal page that we read, it's because it's without context, those signs, all the letters, or the hieroglyphs, whatever it is, they're just staring back at us like an unknown script, something that we can't read. Or it's as if there's a message being given to us, but it's in a foreign language. We can't, it's very difficult for us to grasp what that message might be. Or perhaps it's a code. All these splendor signs that we see must have some meaning, but it's a secret code and we don't have the key. We don't know how to decipher that code. And in any case, even if we could decipher it, it's only giving us a portion, a part of the story, a portion of a parable divine. A parable is usually a simple story that has a very deep meaning and significance that we have to understand. So the universe is like that, it is a parable, but we've only got a part of it. We can't understand it without knowing the whole story. Shall we just reread the first part? this wonderful prophecy, starting at line 294. Above the world creators stand. In the phenomenon, see its mystic source. These heed not the deceiving outward play. They turn not to the moment's busy tramp, but listen with the still patience of the unborn for the slow footsteps of far destiny approaching through huge distances of time, unmarked by the eye that sees effect and cause, unheard mid the clamour of the human plain. Attentive to an unseen truth, they seize a sound as of invisible augur wings, voices of an unplumbed significance, mutterings that brood in the core of matter's sleep. In the heart's profound audition they can catch the murmurs lost by life's uncaring ear, a prophet's speech in thought's omniscient trance. Above the illusion of the hopes that pass, behind the appearance and the overt act, behind this clockwork chance and vague surmise, amid the wrestle of force, the trampling feet, across the cries of anguish and of joy, across the triumph, fighting and despair, they watch the bliss for which earth's heart has cried on the long road which cannot see its end, winding undetected through the skeptic days, and to meet it guide the unheedful moving world. Thus will the masked transcendent mount his throne. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind is the only lamp, as a thief's in the night shall be the covered tread of one who steps unseen into his house. A voice ill-heard shall speak, the soul obey. A power into mind's inner chamber steal, a charm and sweetness open life's closed doors, and beauty conquer the resisting world. The truth light capture nature by surprise, a stealth of God compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine. In matter shall be lit the Spirit's glow. In body and body kindled the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy pilgrim march. Our will a force of the Eternal's power, and thought the rays of a spiritual sun. A few shall see what none yet understands. God shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep. For man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done. A consciousness that knows not its own truth, a vagrant hunter of misleading dawns, between the being's dark and luminous ends, moves here in a half-light that seems the whole. An interregnum in reality cuts off the integral thought, the total power. It circles or stands in a vague interspace, doubtful of its beginning and its close, or runs upon a road that has no end. Far from the original dusk, the final flame, in some huge void in conscience it lives, like a thought persisting in a wide emptiness. As if an unintelligible phrase suggested a million renderings to the mind, it lends a purport to a random word. A conjecture leaning upon doubtful proofs, a message misunderstood, a thought confused, missing its aim, is all that it can speak, or a fragment of the universal word. It leaves two giant letters void of sense, while without sanction turns the middle sign, carrying an enigmatic universe, as if a present without future or past, repeating the same revolution's whirl, turned on its axis in its own inane. Thus is the meaning of creation veiled. For without context reads the cosmic page. Its signs stare at us like an unknown script, as if appeared screened by a foreign tongue or code of splendor signs without a key, a portion of a parable sublime.